we've got these welfare queens out there. Bill Gates, who has made billions and billions of dollars by government regulation called the copyright law that has given special privilege to his company and made him rich. Mitt Romney making tens of millions of dollars a year and paying almost no taxes on it because he was able to kind of game the system and get his taxes lowered. You got the CEO of GE, Jeff Immelt, who, GE pays no taxes on billions of dollars in profits. You got the CEO of ExxonMobil, $400 billion in profits. No income tax. We got a lot of welfare queens out there. Let's drug test them all. Jamie Weinstein on the line with the Daily Caller, dailycaller.com. He's a senior editor at the Daily Caller. Jamie, you're in favor of drug testing all these welfare queens, right?
Well, Tom, of course, I don't consider copyright laws to be equivalent of getting government welfare. But obviously,
how are they different?
How are they different? Well, it's part of private property. The way that you create invention in society is provide copyright laws to people, so they have an incentive.
But after the second or third year of the copyright being protected, how is it any different? How is it not welfare?
It depends on how many. I mean, it takes a long time sometimes for people to. Why is 3 years the magic number?
It's the number that Thomas Jefferson proposed. It's the number that was most often debated during the constitutional conventions. You know this history.
Yeah, but the 3 years was not set in stone.
No.
And I think that.
But Disney got it. Disney got it jacked up to 70. But let's not
government, and we can determine that. But yeah, let's not get sidetracked.
Let's not get sidetracked. You want to drug test people who are on government assistance of some kind.
It's not necessarily that I'm driving to drug test them. I think it's a fair thing for people in the states to choose to do, so long as it is cost effective to do so. Some states have found that implementing the policy doesn't seem particularly cost effective. But on the principle of it, the fact that if you are accepting government largesse, money that comes from you and me and the taxpayers for government assistance, you probably should not give that to those who are on drugs, because they're using their money for poor means.
Right. So you think that the guys who are like Eric Prince, for example, the guys, the government who are getting these no-bid government contractors from their buddies like the Bush administration, that they should be drug tested? They're making billions off government largesse?
Eric Prince, but if the question is that should corporate welfare end, where you have people who get subsidies and protections for growing sugar in the United States that protect them from trade elsewhere? The answer is yes. I think corporate welfare should end.
Should we drug test them?
Should we drug test them? No, we should just end it.
Well, but they're getting all this government largesse. I mean, the government is giving mind-boggling amounts of money to these millionaires and billionaires. You've seen their these 35-bedroom mansions that surround this city where you and I live. Shouldn't we be drug testing these guys?
We can debate what.
Or you just want to drug test poor people?
No, wait, Tom. I'm going to agree with you largely here. I'm actually going to go a step further. We can debate what is getting government largesse and welfare and what is not. I agree that there are some very wealthy people that are getting corporate welfare in a way through kind of crony capitalism, and I don't want to drug test them. I want to end the lifeline. I want to end the crony capitalism.
So do you want to end the lifeline to 8-year-olds on food stamps?
Well, Tom, I mean, I think this argument goes along the lines of, if you arrested a family, a father, a mother for doing something criminal, does that affect their family as well? I think yes, but would you suggest you don't arrest them?
Well, one of the things that I know is that that we all know now is the result of Rick Scott, who owns a chain of medical clinics that do drug testing, is that when he implemented drug testing for food stamp recipients in the state of Florida, that about 2% of them tested positive, and that when they randomly tested the general population down there, it was around 8%. So we're drug testing. This seems to me punitive.
I'm actually loosely for legalizing drugs. So I mean, I don't necessarily, I don't do drugs myself, but I think on a philosophical and moral basis, it's the right policy. I still would think that drug testing people that get government largesse would be the right thing to do. But
in other words, you're in favor of punishment even when it violates your own moral principles.
You didn't answer my question though when I asked you. You were trying to use kind of the image of why do I want to punish 8-year-old children for drug testing?
Well,
I said,
why do you want to do that?
Would you if their parents did something illegal, committed fraud or something, we're going to go to jail? Would you just not send them to jail? I mean, because that
No,
would
of course
affect them
not.
as well.
If somebody's committed a crime, I would send them to jail. But to the best of my knowledge, applying for food stamps is not a crime.
No, but the point is that certain policies all affect families, and the people who are responsible for that is the parents themselves.
So you're saying if somebody gets laid off from their job,
I don't know what remedies.
If you're saying if somebody gets laid off from their job because Republican policies blowing, the Reaganomics blowing up our trade policy, or for that matter, Clintonomics, if you want to make it bipartisan, joining the GATT and the WTO, the factory went to Asia or to Mexico or something, they're out of work. They should be punished by being drug tested?
I think that they shouldn't be on drugs. I mean, if the question is someone should be punished, if you're saying that anyone
why not?
By merely drug
if they're not working, if they're not driving a truck, I mean, I can understand drug testing airline pilots.
Drug testing them as punishment?
I can understand drug testing airline pilots because I don't want to get on an airplane where the pilot's been, stoned in the last 24 hours. But I don't understand drug testing some guy who's sitting in his home watching TV because he can't get a job. I mean, I think he should have the right to get high, and until he can find a job, I want to make sure that he's not, sick and broke and out, living in my front door.
I like to be clear with principles here. So what you're suggesting is that not only do you think that there should be no drug testing, but you have no problem if the person who is receiving government aid is getting high and being subsidized by the government?
No, I don't. I have no problem. I have no problem with anybody getting high unless they're operating heavy equipment that can damage me.
Well, I do. I think that I
thought you were in favor of legalizing drugs.
I am, but I do have a problem when you give money out of the public purse to people that are getting high.
Okay, well, let's take it to the next step. Should we drug test them for alcohol?
Well, that'd be an interesting question. Let's get to legalizing drugs first.
Well, no, I mean it's not an interesting question. I mean, if you look at this, look at the good science that's done, and I know you're familiar with this as well. People who are equally intoxicated on marijuana versus alcohol are much more dangerous driving when they're intoxicated with alcohol than with marijuana. They're much more likely to kill or be killed. And so let's drug test everybody for alcohol.
I think that's in the state's prerogative. If they wouldn't do that, I certainly wouldn't oppose it.
Okay, how about tobacco?
It's their prerogative. The states have the power to instrument laws who they give money to, and I think that,
so. What you're saying is
there's a lot of problems with state finances right now, and if they think it's economically reasons to do so, and because they think that that people that are getting money from states should not be.
No, I got your logic. If we the people are giving people money, then we should have the right to drug test them. So, which brings me back to my original question. Okay, we the people are giving Mitt Romney an enormous amount of money by subsidizing this, this whole court system and everything else that has allowed him to get wealthy. Should he be drug tested? We're subsidizing Bill Gates with the copyright laws. We're subsidizing ExxonMobil with billions of dollars in the military supplying their shipping lanes.
Again, I think there's corporate welfare out there. I don't think Mitt Romney was a recipient of it by any means. The idea that he is a recipient of corporate welfare.
You think he's a self-made man? He was born a millionaire.
I think he is. He worked his way up in that position.
Oh, come on.
He absolutely did. The evidence is there. Show me how he didn't.
He used the law. He used the education that he got by virtue of being born a millionaire. He used the old boy network that he had by virtue of being born a millionaire.
Have you read the accounts of those who went to school with him and who had worked with him, how he worked harder and longer than most everyone else, was not interested?
Oh, I'm sure he worked very hard, but how hard does somebody have to work to get $20 million a year for doing nothing?
The idea that he was not a man who worked hard and was just given it silver spoon.
I don't begrudge him his first $1 million a year, Jamie. Not at all.
You don't think what?
I don't begrudge him his first $1 million a year. But I think at a certain point you can't make an argument. Well, that's a whole other argument. Jamie, we'll have to live to argue it another day, Jamie. DailyCaller.com. Jamie Weinstein. You can read his writing.